Hi, I'm Chef Randy Cheramie, your instructor for Culinary 111, Culinary 111, the Culinary Foundations. And really the foundations of foundations class is your being able to understand a piece of equipment that you're going to spend the most time with for your entire career, your knives. All right. So it's important that you know about them, that you care about them. We sell a knife kit, and it's probably the best deal you're going to get on a knife kit. We don't make any money on it, believe me, but they're a fine group of knives, and they could be knives for your career if you take care of them. Okay, they're made by Mercer. All right, and I'm going to just show you a couple of the knives today that you're going to use a lot of, or you're going to use the most. One of them being a chef's knife. Chef's knives are the work daddy of the kitchen. Let's face it, they're used to cut most things. Okay, especially vegetables. And as you can see, I've got this Mercer. I think this is what an 8-inch. Yeah, an 8-inch knife, maybe a 10-inch. I don't know. Look how perfectly balanced that is. And when you do that, that gives you a clue on how to hold the knife. Just grab it and put your 3 fingers underneath the tine right here. Keep this finger on this side and your thumb on the other side. And this is how you hold the knife, okay? This is awkward. Any other way is awkward with this. This is the way you should always hold your knife. Your thumb and your forefinger is actually on the blade, on the top of the blade, and then your finger, the 3 fingers under the handle, okay? And you've got control of it, all right? Knives, it's important that you sharpen your knives. The knives that you get are factory sharpened, believe me, they're sharp. You can shave with them. I wouldn't shave with them, but you could if you wanted to. Every day you need this on your table, which is it hones knife, it's a steel. And the way we hone a knife, and you should hone your knives often, almost after every task, and I'll tell you why in a second, is if you put the knife flat on the steel and just raise the back of the knife maybe a 1/4 inch, all right, and then proceed to go down the steel to the tip of the knife. This is what you're trying to do, all right? And then whatever it's done on one side, you do to the other side. Again, maintaining that 1/4 inch off the back. I don't know what angle that would be. I'm not a geometry major. But anyway, so this is how you would, and then you get more proficient with it, and like anything else, you get better at it. All right. There's a paring knife. You do the same thing, it's just smaller. Now, the first group of, oh, by the way, you should always wipe off your knife, because what happens is, as you cut on a knife on a board, what happens if you look at your knife microscopically this way, you're going to see the blade turns into a little J. All right, it's the steel that gets rid of that little hook. Okay, and so you should always have this on your table whenever you're doing any kind of work in the kitchen, especially knife work. All right. The first group of knife skills I want to show you are what we call the mise en place skills. I have them written on the board here. Mise en place means, the technical term means everything in its place. So mise en place would refer to getting your station organized, your kitchen organized, whatever. So those are the 5 knife skills: diced shallots, sliced chives, basil chiffonade, tomato concasse, and I'll show you what all that is, and minced garlic. Shallots and onions, they're both kind of the same animal, aren't they? They're a little different, but one's small, one's big. This is what a purple shallot looks like. They sort of taste like a piece of garlic and an onion all at the same time. Maybe we could get a close up on the table here. Oops, that's bad. want to take that first membrane off, so do this. When you're working in the kitchen too, it's always good to have a little trash you know, nobody can have their own trash bag, so, or trash can. So we have a little 1/2 2-inch pan that acts as our trash receptacle until we can get everything to a trash can, right? So, like I said, it's pretty much built like an onion, except it's small and it's purple, all right? So, to mince it, you could do it 2 ways. I would go this first way, just like you would do an onion. And then, using your knife, at the tip of your knife, you just slowly, and using this as a guide. This just goes up and down. This is the guide which guides your knife. And you slowly just make little slices. And then, again, having the claw in effect here, this means you go to your next class. This means you go to the hospital, okay? So then you start to just dice the shallot. And you don't have to do it as fast as me. What's important is that you become comfortable with it. The more comfortable you are, the faster you'll be able to do your skills. And believe me, speed is important because you're getting paid a certain amount an hour. You're expected to do a certain amount of work. So you'll see that when we do these first knife skills tests, I give you plenty of time to complete them. And I tell you, if you were working for me, I would expect you to do them in 10 minutes. I give you a ½ hour. So don't worry about the knife skills test. So we're going to pick these up. When you're in the kitchen, you always want to have 2 towels with you under your apron strands, okay? And they should be kept dry at all times. And the reason why they should remain dry is because you might use them to take something out of an oven or something like that. And if they're wet, what'll happen? You'll burn yourself. And so you always clean off your board before your next task, okay? And by doing that and keeping a clean workspace, this is what we call mental mise en place. It helps us keep our mind focused on the job at hand, all right? Onion, same thing, just a lot bigger. I'm gonna take off the first two, the top and the bottom. Cut it in half. Take off that, pretty much that first rung. They're concentric circles, right? You don't want to get any onion peelings into your chopped onion. So always wipe your board off. And again, one of the safest things to do is when you're doing some things is don't let the knife leave the board. So I'm gonna first do this. I'm gonna make a cut like that and a cut like that, okay? And then I'm doing it slow so that you can see. I mean, we cut onions every day, don't we? How can you cook without onions? I don't know if I can. Most dishes have some kind of onion product in it. And then the end, I'll go like this, and then so that's 1/2 of the onion. Eventually you'll get a little faster at it. You know, every chef usually likes to take some kind of mundane pleasure. I mean, pleasure in doing mundane things. I love to cut onions. I know a lot of people don't, but I really like cutting onions. In fact, I used to have a 14-inch knife, chef knife, and man, give me a sack of onions, get out of my way. I used to love to do that because a lot of the stuff we do is repetition. And when you're first starting, maybe the thing that you want to concentrate on is getting better at it every time you do it. So time yourself. Why not, huh? It's a good way to get better. And I'm going to tell you right now, in that respect, whenever you graduate from here and you get your first job, this is the key to success that I'm about to tell you, is look around in the kitchen. Who's the alpha in the kitchen? The alpha is the guy that does it faster, cleaner, more efficient. He has nothing on his table but the task at hand. He works small and he gets it, okay? You make up your mind that first day that I'm not gonna leave this place until I smoke that guy or girl, whatever, that you're better than them. And if you do that, you'll never have to ask for a raise. You hear me? I promise you that. Okay, next thing, sliced chives. Chives are something we like to cook with, and we also like to mostly garnish with, right? Chives are, they do have flavor, and I love to garnish with them. I love to cook with them as well. But it's important that you, especially if they're garnished, that they're done very, very thinly. Okay, and that's what I want to show you today. So it's just a matter of just grabbing them and gathering it here, and then just start just getting a bite of your knife on them, okay? And then it's going to get to your fingernails, and you just use your fingers to guide the knife. And you know, up here, if you get good at it, you don't have to even look at it. I don't expect you to do that right away. I want you to go home with all your fingers. But you know, I know what's going on in the board because my fingers are guiding my knife. And my knife is just going up and down. So that's it. Here's sliced chives. Wipe off my knife, wipe off my board. Next thing we're going to do is what we call a basil chiffonade. Basil comes in leaves. You know, we want to take the little stems off, and then basically we just stacking them. Look, I've got 1, 2, 3, I got 4 or 5 leaves here. And then I just want to roll them up a little bit. Some of you may have had this type of experience similar to this. I won't judge. Anyway, you roll it into a cigarette, and then you put it on your board, and the end result should be little bitty tiny threads. And I'm talking about thin threads, not half-inch wide threads, which I've sometimes seen on knife skills. No, like this. Chef, why don't you just chop it? You know, chop it fine. Well, I'll tell you why. Because basil is one of those herbs that are very, very delicate, okay? And if I were to chop it fine, like I can mince parsley or something like that, what would happen is that they would turn black. And I don't want them to turn black. I want them to remain green. And you know, it's a soft herb. It's usually added to at the end of the cooking process because you want it just to perfume your dish in the last couple of minutes of cooking, and so that you'll benefit for the most flavor at that time. So that's a chiffonade of basil. That's 3 of our 5 mise en place cuts. Next is a tomato concasse. What I did earlier was that I took a tomato and I placed it in boiling water for about, I don't know, 30 seconds or so. And then I plunged it in ice water. And this is what happens. Look, it comes right off. The skin comes right off. Because what I want is a skinned and peeled product. Skinned and seedless, rather. So, it's skinless. Chop it in half, cut it in half, rather. Cut it in quarters. Then I'm going to take out the centers. If I was at my restaurant, I would save these. Take out the seeds too. I would save these, the interiors, because I would use them to make tomato water, which is you gather them all up in a cheesecloth, and then you go ahead and gather the top, tie it off, and put it in a colander, and then put the colander in a bowl and put it in the refrigerator overnight, put a weight on top, and the next day you've got beautiful, clear tomato water, which is flavor. I always had tomato water on my saute table because it's a great source of acid. If a dish needs an acidic tone, tomato water will do it, let me tell you. I've also made tomato consomme. It's a cold dish. It can be absolutely a delightful first course, and that's how you make it, is from the insides of tomatoes. So then it's just a matter of cutting slices of the tomatoes first. Lengthwise. And then doing the cross cut of them. If you look at that, they look pretty much all the same size. Pretty much. Tomato concasse. Peeled, seeded, diced tomatoes. The reason why we don't want the peel in it is because when tomato peels cook, they curl and they're kind of unsightly. It's okay to eat them. There's nothing wrong with eating them. It's just that from an aesthetic viewpoint, you'd rather not have them. Your dish will be prettier without them. So I'm gonna, boom, garlic. This is the only way to buy garlic. You hear me? Don't ever buy garlic in any other form. Those little jars of garlic, chopped garlic you see at the store, don't ever buy that. The stuff that's inside is not worth what the jar is. I mean, it's just horrible stuff. You also see sometimes peeled garlic cloves. That's not wise either, because all their perfume is gone, okay? Because they've been out of the shell too long. This is the only way to buy garlic. In fact, I want all of y'all to raise your right hand. Raise your hand right now. I state your name. Do hereby swear that I will never, ever, ever buy garlic in any other form but a bulb. I so do swear. Now you swore. If you go against that, bad things are gonna happen to you. This is Louisiana. Some gree-gree is gonna get put on you. So you wanna separate a few cloves. That's 2 of them right there. Maybe I'll get another one. 3, okay. 3 cloves of garlic. All that garlic paper goes away. And you gotta take them out of your shell. Boy, this is difficult, I gotta tell you. So what I do is that I put them on the board first and just cut off that little woody end of the garlic, and then look, a piece comes off. See? You almost got it half peeled already. Give them a light tap. Take them out. See, I smashed them. I didn't do them a light tap at all, did I? It's okay. All right, then you could smash them even further. And then it's rock and roll time. Piece of paper. See rock and roll? This is what I mean by rock and roll. You're just rocking on the curve of your knife, right? Bring it back to the center. Take it off your knife from time to time because it will stick to your knife. Always like this, never like this, okay? And let me get some salt. There it is. If you want to get it finer than this, a little bit of salt. That's all. And the salt acts as an abrasive element. And what you do is that and if I was to do this for about 2 or 3 minutes, this would turn into a nice puree. But we need to move on, yes? That is our first, I'm going to test you on this, not the first time we meet, but the second time we meet. So if you want to practice, practice. If you want to cook utilizing these things, by all means. I'm a big proponent in you cooking. You're at culinary school. Cook something for goodness sakes, right? I know y'all have meal tickets, I understand that. But, you know, once a week, couldn't you cook something? Even in a dorm. I know you could. It's important that you do. If you just cook in lab class when you're in school, it just isn't enough. There's too much to learn. Consider the scope of the subject matter. It's immense. So much to know, so much to learn. When you graduate here, are you gonna know it all? Babies, I am 66 years old. I've been cooking professionally for almost 45 years. And I promise you, I don't know it all. So many different cuisines and so many reference points. And it's a lot to know. It's a lot to know. You're gonna get a good foundation while you're at school here, all right? So listen to your instructors, get to know your instructors. And that's our first video. Our first knife skills test will be on this, and I look forward to seeing you in lab.